Hello, this is John Miller, the creator of The Rest of Everest. I think I can safely say that this show is, without a doubt, the most in-depth look into the entire experience of what it takes to climb Everest, as well as some other peaks throughout the Himalayas. But all of the events in the series are shown in chronological order, so if you're new to the show, please go all the way back to episode 000 and watch everything in order. That's truly the best way to enjoy it. Thanks. There are now a bunch of new ways to watch The Rest of Everest. In addition to the podcast feed you're most likely watching now, there's some new and completely free ways to watch the show, which I'm really excited about, and I think you'll be excited about them too. The first is The Rest of Everest HD. It's, well, pretty much just what the name implies, an HD version of the show. From season 2 onwards, everything was filmed and edited in HD. Now you can actually watch it all in 720p HD. I've also created 2 new 3D podcasts to showcase material that I filmed from season 5 with my experimental 3D camera rig. There's The Rest of Everest 3D Anaglyph, which anyone can watch with those familiar red and blue 3D glasses, and there's The Rest of Everest 3D Side by Side, which you can enjoy on special 3D televisions and other 3D devices. Both of the 3D podcasts are released in high quality HD, but they are not full episodes. Instead, think of them as simply augmenting the regular podcast feed and containing only the footage from each episode that was actually filmed in 3D. Finally, I've created the Rest of Everest channel on YouTube that contains every video podcast of the show. I'm releasing current episodes in full 1080p HD and will slowly update all the episodes filmed in HD to 1080p HD. Episodes from the 3D podcast are also being posted to my YouTube channel, and you can watch them there in full 1080p 3D in a wide variety of formats. All of my podcast feeds can be found in iTunes, just search for The Rest of Everest, and my YouTube channel can be found at youtube.com/restofeverest. Of course, you can also find everything on my website at therestofeverest.com. If you have a question about any of the new feeds, like how do I watch them on my TV in 3D, then just shoot me an email. I'm happy to help. Well, that's the big news. Now on to this week's episode.
This is the Rest of Everest video podcast, an almost unabridged expedition experience. Episode 157, The Roger Huff Show.
Hey.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to The Rest of Everest. I'm John Miller. Today we are going to start off in Gyangtse, which we actually arrived at in last week's episode. And we're going to be checking out some monasteries, and we're going to see the Kumbum, but we'll actually visit the Kumbum next week. We have a large number of people who joined us in the trek, so I'm going to go down the list. We have Dave, Jill, Shaquille, Thilo, Nicole joining us once again, and Roger. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, John. Good.
Pretty good.
As always, we always try to interact with the locals, and I think Roger and Thilo and Kevin actually had one of the most interesting interactions with locals on this entire trip. And so let's head back up to Gyangtse, the hotel we stayed at, and let's rejoin the expedition here. So here we go. So here's Jeffrey, calling family.
Are you there? Okay, well, anyway. Okay, can you hear me? That's gone to static.
Just hang up and call again.
So you have to remember that Jeffrey had a new pacemaker.
Hang up and call again.
So I know his family was really concerned about him. Nowadays, it's just much easier to buy a SIM card and just get a cheap throwaway cell phone.
Hey, baby.
So you get cell phone reception almost everywhere.
Hey, everything's good. Just thought I'd give you a call because I hadn't talked to you. And everything's good, honey. We're all good. That's it. Anything to report real quick? Morgan lost a tooth. Okay, big moment. Tooth fairy came tonight. Did you remember put money under the pillow? All right. Love you. Bye. I love you too. Bye. Excellent. I think she was half asleep too. So Morgan lost a tooth. Oh, cool.
How does that feel?
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah. Tooth fairy came.
How much are teeth worth these days?
Well, it's gone up. It's worth a loonie. A loonie is a $1 coin.
Ah, so
it's
$1.
gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's gold. So Morgan will be happy.
So that's Roger there in the center, and Kilo's behind him. And they're surrounded by some junior high school girls.
Yeah, it just happened that these girls took us and invited us for the morning coffee or tea.
Kevin's filming here.
He was a little bit afraid.
What's your name? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Yeah, two. Perfect, perfect. What's your name? Nice to meet you. What's your name? Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Roger, you were a bit of a hit with these ladies.
Yeah, I had to go all the way to Tibet to get someone to laugh at that joke.
Yeah, it's really cool that no matter where you go, children are children.
Yep, that's true.
Do you like tea? Do you like tea? No? Cha.
So explain that, Roger.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Roger, explain that a little bit.
I came out of the restaurant and there were some schoolgirls walking by and they saw my camera and they said, take our picture. And then they said, come with me. And they took me across the street to the restaurant, which was full of junior high school students having breakfast. And we sat there and they wanted to practice their English. So Thilo and I had tea with the schoolgirls.
They could not have chosen a better person.
It was fantastic.
Because that's what you do for a living.
That's right, it was really lovely.
Fantastic. Roger, that's one of your trade secrets, isn't it? To, people always seem like they want to practice their English on your travels.
Well, those girls were really assertive and confident, so it worked out.
So we are now at, again, we're in Gyangtse, and we're at I believe it's called the Palcho Monastery. And that's the Kumboom on the left side of your screen. And Lobsang is going to give us a good overview of what to expect here at this beautiful place.
Take a video of it.
That temple in front of us there, I believe it's called the, let's see, I always get this wrong, the Kong temple, but I always kind of call it in my head the Chaka Khan, but I don't know how many people will get that joke.
Look familiar?
What?
Does any of this look familiar?
If I say no, does it all looks
You're
familiar.
showing your true colors about being a fan of the podcast.
It all looks the same. Well, that's because if you watch the podcast, you've seen it all before.
Yeah, I agree. There you go.
The sun is at an angle to that. It's pretty frontal on the door. That still would bring out some...
Rewatch it afterwards and you'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's going to be different.
No, I've got it.
That's my work entertainment. That's what I watch at work.
Are you still going to watch it once you're in it?
I go? Probably not.
Excuse me, can we do we will make a little explanation about it?
Yes. No, we don't want to know.
Okay.
Jeff!
So this is Palcho Monastery.
What's the name?
Palcho Monastery.
Palcho.
And it was founded in 15th century, and it was founded by a local chieftain or local king or local ruler called Gunsang Rapten in year 1418. And beside the monastery, you would see a big, huge stupa, which was built in year 1428 and founded by the first Panchen Lama. And unlike rest of the monasteries that you have seen so far, this is like a common monastery in which you would find 3 different orders staying together without having any problem. Like rest of the monasteries that we have visited so far, either they are like yellow-hatted monastery or red-hatted monastery, but then this is like a common monastery in which you would see the common characteristics, like 3 different orders, like Sakyapa in English we call it red-hatted, and then yellow-hatted, and there's a minor called Bulukpa. All these orders are staying together in these monasteries, and in those times this monastery used to be a huge, and during the Cultural Revolution, like there used to be like about 16 different temples around this campus, but then except 2, rest of the temples were destroyed, and 2 were left as a less destroyed. And this monastery is considered to be one of the least destroyed monastery even today. Like we have so many monasteries. We used to have so many monasteries around this city, in this town, but then this is one of the least destroyed monastery. And the main image that you can find in this monastery is an image of the present Buddha, the founder of the Buddhism, and most of the murals that you can find in this temple are original, right from the 15th century, and the statues are more of like an Indian style, Nepali style, like you could notice from that stupa. It is like unusual thing that you can find in Tibet. Like you hardly could find this kind of like stupa in Tibet. And this is a stupa in which you can go inside it. You would find like about 67 different chapels inside it, like about 100,000 different images inside it. Like rest of the stupas that we have found so far, in that stupa we could not go inside it. There isn't any like kind of like a chapel to visit, but in that stupa we can go inside it, and we would find like about 67 chapels inside it, and and many more what you call statues of Buddha. Like you could find 100,000 images of Buddha in it. That is the reason why we call it Kubum. The name Kubum means 100,000 images, because it consists of 100,000 images of Buddha or deities or protectors in that stupa, and we are going to visit that after this. So we would visit this first. While visiting each, we can explain each chapel. Alright. Yeah. So, like I've seen actually 3 different orders in this monastery. There are like 3 different categories of monks who are having different kind of like a text. When they assemble, they're having their own text, but then they won't get any disturbances. Like when there's an assembly, like there would be like different rows. Like one who is following the red, one who are like followers of red-hatted order, they stay in this order, and the rest of the orders they stay in next row. But then they always stay together. I mean, they coexist without having any problem. So when they assemble, they read their own scriptures. So it's quite nice to see them reading different scriptures at the same time. So this is the common monastery, like in which you can find different characteristics.
Are they each chanting their own chant, but at the
Yeah,
same time?
at the same time. They've got their own texts, they read by their own, but they never did have kind of like a problem. So they coexist. Okay, we go. After this, you can take your own time if you want to take pictures. We can take pictures inside, right? Yeah, but then they charge money for taking pictures.
Yeah, and I'll pay for the whole group for inside over here.
Well, I mean this.
Oh, and here too? Okay.
It's amazing to hear that there was so much destruction in the Cultural Revolution, and just would have been amazing to see what it was like beforehand, because there's still so much there. But to hear how much destruction there was, it just must have been absolutely mind-blowing to be there. Just all the different monasteries and all the different all the cultural heritage that was there. So just something I always think of when I'm visiting.
Well, you know, John, being from Washington, D.C., I have friends, relatives that come all the time, and they want to see all the history. And, you know, America is a pretty young nation, you know, not more than 250 years old. And so whenever we show them the different sites, you know, it's going back 100 years, 150, 200 years. And then we go to a place like this, and this was built in 1418. It just blows your mind.
Mm-hmm. So what we're looking at here are the protector kings that sit outside most of the monasteries.
These are the protector kings.
Yeah, they took us to Japan too. They were just talking about it. It's good to see the different ways they dress.
So what were you saying there, Roger? You see this a lot in Japan?
Sure, it's very similar icons, because a lot of it comes from India, where they prescribe what it's supposed to be like. But they are dressed differently and they look different. They have their own style.
So their style is localized.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like those bulging eyes that you saw there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a side effect of Diamox.
Unfortunately, all the different sects of monks weren't praying at this time. It was pretty much empty.
In my guidebook, it says there are only about 70 monks there now.
Thank you. There we go. So right now we're in the main chapel here at the monastery, and I'm going to get some shots of the main image here, which is the present Buddha. And it's a beautiful golden statue. And I guess I'm going to turn the camera around and shoot it, some video of it. So here we go. Thank you.
Once again, everyone's so friendly. It's all very relaxed. And as I know many of you are aware of now, but I'll reiterate it, that those sculptures you see in front of us here are all made out of butter.
Yeah?
Did any of you guys find anything of particular interest that you were taking photos of while you were here?
I was taking some pictures of them lighting these candles by ambient light in the darker corners, and some of them came out pretty cool.
Some of the best pictures that I took were of the detail that you see there. You can't really see it unless you're up close and have some light on it, but it's just amazing how intricate some of the artwork was.
So she's adding yak butter to the lamps there.
I think I took a few pictures of the candles. It was really nice when the flame reflects on the butter.
Hey Roger, did you look up?
You know, I'm looking everywhere, but I don't always see them.
There's all the detail on the
yeah,
roof.
I stood in this corner for 5 minutes and just looking at all that woodwork and the light playing on. These pillars are really big and old.
Yeah, 15th century. Like old growth, you know. And then if you look at like the walls behind the statues here, there's still detail in them.
Yeah, they're really they're painted but black from all the smoke and age.
But like look at right there. Do you see is that a lotus flower?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's actually murals that were painted before the statues were installed.
And here is a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah,
to
so there's a vacuum cleaner.
Suck up the money.
Yeah. I need one of those.
Yeah. Money vacuum.
Actually, I've got one of those. It's called the House.
There really is detail everywhere, and it's something that you almost have to practice to see it, because it's very easy to just take in the stuff on the surface, but then if you really concentrate, you can start to understand the scope of the detail that you see everywhere. Sometimes the darkest corners have the most detail. It's really an amazing thing.
And what you didn't hear, John, I had some inside knowledge. They do come alive at night.
Okay.
Shoot, now everybody knows.
Like at Disney World.
They come alive and eat all the butter?
Yeah, well, I tried to touch one of them, and the eyes moved, and I got freaked out, and I just walked away slowly.
Once again, you can get some scale there by the monk who was doing some of the caretaking there. Everything's large. This all looks particularly good in 3D, by the way. There's
Yes, it does.
A lot of depth. Subscribe to the 3D podcast. Check it out. It's funny when we watch this, we all go really quiet because it's kind of the way you feel, kind of the way you do when you're there.
Oh yeah, it's very peaceful there, and in some of the monasteries where the monks were chanting, it was almost soothing. It's just stay quiet and listen.
So there's Jill in the center there. Once again, this shows how casual everyone is. Is he wearing your hat, Jill?
He is. Yeah, he stole it off my head. They were chanting, and I was recording just the sound of them chanting, and I was afraid to go in there. I wasn't sure if I was allowed, and I finally got up the courage to go in there, and they had just finished, and they invited me to come sit with them, and we had yak butter tea and some sort of pastry, and they were really funny. They were joking and made me come sit with them, and then they stole my hat, and it was really funny. It was a really good time. One of the highlights.
Awesome. Well, next week we are going to visit the Kumbum again. Was there in 2007 with Scott Jacobs, and we get to go inside and see some of the 100,000 images inside of it. And I think more importantly, next week we're gonna get to see Sampa Mill, which was one of the highlights of the trip for me. I thought it was really, really interesting. Well, thanks so much for joining me, you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. See you next week.
See you, John. I think we'll talk a little bit more next week. And we'll laugh a little bit more. But till then, thanks so much, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
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 The Rest of Everest is downloaded all over the world every day, and watching the show has become a part of many people's weekly routine. The show will always be free to download, but it's by no means free to produce. Please help me cover my costs by making a small monthly or one-time donation from the right sidebar on my website, and in return I'll give you some cool bonus materials. A donation of any amount will grant you access to some interesting video content, including high-definition versions of several podcast episodes, a one-time donation of $25 or more, or any of the monthly donation options will additionally grant you access to a downloadable version of the film Everest the Other Side, which episodes 1 to 61 are based on. I really cannot express how vital these donations are, and if you've made a donation, thank you so much. As always, our announcer is Marlon May, and our music is provided by Wendy Wu. Check her out at wendywu.com. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching The Rest of Everest. For more information on the expedition, please visit therestofeverest.com.